Welcome into week 5 of the Ragsdale Rumble, brought to you by the Herb and Rodg podcast. I am your host, Big Mike, and we are joined as every week. We
Wow.
were joined. We still have Rodg. Rodg, welcome in. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastically splendid on this beautiful Thursday evening. I guess I was trying to enjoy the Thursday night football game. It's not really much to enjoy. Detroit's giving Green Bay a nice little butt whooping, 27-3 at this time. So other than that, I'm fine. I'm ready for a nice slate of college football games.
We're definitely ready.
Yep.
We are now joined by Batman.
He looks like Obi-Wan the Lonely.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Herb, are you playing Batman this week? Are you trying to go superhero?
No, I got to do something to mix up the picks. It's been terrible lately, so
that's Obi-Wan the Lonely.
We've got to focus.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, you say you've got to do something to do a little bit better, but last week you didn't actually do too bad. You went 10-2 last week. You actually gained a game on Rodg. Rodg now has a 3-game lead. 28-16 is Rodg's overall record. Herb, you are 25-19, so you're both.
And I was 1 second away from gaining a whole nother game with my anti-Rodg pick.
It doesn't matter. A loss is a loss.
You almost got the anti-Rodg pick. Oddly enough, both anti-brother picks, which is what I'm just going to call them, so I don't have to say it all twice because I'm lazy. Both anti-brother picks missed last week. Technically, both and a half because Rodg kind of had a half of an anti-Herb pick when he. With the second one there, even though he's going to go with Ukla anyway, because he wanted to say Ukla a bunch of times.
Yeah, he just likes the word.
So I'll count that as a half of an anti-brother pick. So
Mike, are you anti-brother?
I am not anti-brother. I do not have a brother, but I feel like
but you love the brothers.
Thing to brothers I do have. So I do love you both.
Thank you.
So with that being said, we won't get too emotional. I knows what's going to happen during this episode, and we'll go ahead and get into the first game. A couple of Friday night games to start off. Kind of like we've actually had some really good Friday night games all season, actually. So it's been kind of surprising. First up, we will head to North Carolina. Louisville travels into NC State. Currently favored by 3 is Louisville, and Herb as the rural state. You are still behind, so you will pick this game first.
This is interesting to me that Louisville is favored. So I definitely feel like there's something I'm missing. I think the better defense is with NC State by far. I thought Louisville was maybe having to rebuild a little bit or something. So I'm going to take NC State at home and probably look like a fool for ignoring the fact that Louisville is favored. But I'm going NC State.
Okay, Rodg, what are your thoughts?
Again, I think this may have happened last week. I think we're getting started early with the anti-Herb pick. I don't like to do them this early. I like to kind of build up to it, but I have to go.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to do the theatrics, like, what's the point?
Anti-Herb pick. Rodg takes Louisville simply because Herb picked NC State.
Fair enough.
There you go. The anti-Herb pick straight off the bat. So again,
you can take the rest of the show off.
You did go with the anti-Herb pick first game last week with Purdue and Wisconsin, and did miss that game as I mentioned earlier. So we'll see if this week works out better for you. Next up, we have Utah traveling to Oregon State, and oddly enough, Oregon State is favored by 3.5 in this game. This time we'll go to Rodg first. Who do you think?
I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised that I know Oregon State's at home, but they're surprised that they got the 4.5 favorite. They suffered their first loss last week. I still think, honestly, regardless of who Utah starts at quarterback, I'm saying that because I don't think Cam Rising's going to be back anytime. I don't know when he's going to be back, to be honest with you. With that being said, I think Utah stays undefeated and they get the win on the road.
And that's I thought that kind of stuff when I saw that line. I thought maybe because Cam Rising's still not going to play, even though the backups have played well.
Right.
The only reason I would think Oregon State is even favored in this game. But we'll jump over to Batman or Herb. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Obi-Wan the Lonely. Oh my gosh. It's not
anti-Rodg pick.
Oregon
State. Utah does not travel well. Their offense is putrid. Last week they scored on a defensive touchdown to start.
Nobody ever says putrid on a sports show.
Rodg, your pick is putrid. Utah State is putrid. Or Utah is putrid, excuse me. Utah State's probably putrid also, though, just to throw some random hate. We're going with Oregon State at home. They're favored for a reason.
Why is he talking about tone of voice?
I have spoken.
I don't know if he was trying to be wise or sexy because he kind of had that deep, very white voice kind of going at the beginning.
That was weird.
So I'm not sure, but we do start out
like everything we do on this show is normal. Come on now.
But we do start up hot as far as the picks are concerned. Both anti-brother picks are right out of the gate. We'll see if anything else comes up.
Let's bring back that chocolate.
Do we have to go there?
That was so awkward in so many levels.
So we will jump right into the next game. Forget that ever happened.
Mike is so uncomfortable right now. Let's just move on. This is getting weird.
Yeah, Florida travels to Kentucky to play the University of Kentucky, obviously, because we've already talked about Louisville, so they're not playing them. Kentucky is currently favored by 2.5, even though Florida's looked good the past couple of weeks. Herb, you up first. Who you got and why?
This is crazy. It's like, what Florida are you getting? You know, the one that started the year, the one that whooped Tennessee. Are they just better at home? Have not watched a single second of a Kentucky game all year.
Yeah.
And probably will not until they play Alabama.
There are probably many Kentucky fans that haven't watched a single minute.
Yeah, and I can't blame them. I can't blame them. Oh, man. I think I'm just going to take Kentucky purely because they're at home. I will not be watching any of this game. I'll miss the whole thing, but I'll take Kentucky because they're at home, but I won't feel good about any of this, for real.
All right, Rodg, what do you think?
I don't know. I've already used my anti-her pick, but I guess this isn't necessarily an anti-her pick. I was leaning towards Florida anyway. Florida's, I mean, let's see, they're ranked 20.
This is one of those picks nobody has any confidence in. We're just
Kentucky's only favored by a point at home. Florida hasn't looked as bad as I thought they would this year. And to Her's point, I haven't watched any Kentucky football this year, and I normally don't unless they play us. I'm going to go with Florida on the road in this one. I think Florida's going to pull it out.
Is this our third game in our third disagreement?
It is the third game in a row this week that there is a disagreement, so there could be a lot of movement in the overall.
Oh, yeah, there will be.
So also, just for viewers' notice, you guys hear us throwing out a couple of numbers that may be different. The last two games, we've had a couple of different numbers between mine and Rodg's number. I actually looked these up on Monday, and then I'm sure Rodg is a lot more professional than I am, who was looking up the live number today. So the numbers may vary at some points. I know the last two have a little bit. So just if you're making your betting options based on this show, one, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, wow. Just give us your money instead.
Exactly. And two, if you do hear different lines, that is the reason why, because I'm too lazy to go back and redo the lines after 3 or 4 days. Having said that, we will go on to the next game. Texas.
We should never be mentioned with the word professional, by the way. Not Rodg and I. Mike, yes. Herb and Rodg, no.
Don't put that on me. I'm nothing professional, as you can tell by watching this every week, which you should do. Plus, like and subscribe to the channel.
That's true. That's true.
We will travel next, and both teams will actually travel because this is actually a neutral site game, kind of, because it's in Arlington, Texas. Texas A&M and Arkansas travel in to play together. The line, as I had it on Monday, is 6.5 in favor of Texas A&M. And Rodg, it is your turn to go first.
This is interesting. I think is this still called the Southwest Classic? The game's gonna be here in Arlington. Both teams have looked kind of interesting. I think they both had a pretty good start. Had a rough past 2 weeks for both teams. I don't know. KJ Jefferson is kind of flying under the radar. He's done all right this season, but I don't know if he's really improved as far as passing the game. I'd have to take a look at his numbers again. Connor Weigman, whatever his name is looking Texas A&M-ish.
I thought is he not starting anymore? I thought he got hurt.
I think it's Brad Johnson. Yeah, I think it's Brad Johnson this week. I think
not Brad, but it is
Max Johnson. Max Johnson.
Max. Yeah.
I forgot about him because I remember him when he was at LSU and now he's at A&M. Okay. With that being said, thank you for bringing that out. I'm going to go with Arkansas in this one. I think Arkansas's got the better quarterback playing this one.
Yeah.
See, I hate to sportsmanship. Sportsmanship actually wins out because you could have kept that to yourself, Herb.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
But I'm not going to have that.
And Herb needs all the help he can get.
Yeah, with all the anti-brother picks we've had so far, it's nice to see a little brotherly love going both ways and you giving it up. So
the brotherly love is all gone, so don't expect that. Used up my allotment for the week.
Yeah.
I hate to agree with Rodg, but because it's not anything spooky about this pick. I'm going with Arkansas as well. I think they showed a lot of life last week in losing a heartbreak to LSU. And I honestly think Texas A&M is looking ahead to the Alabama game, and this is the kind of game that they overlooked before that one. So I'm taking Arkansas.
Gotcha.
And not to be too nice to Herb, I mean, you really didn't pick, just to follow Rodg, because you kind of influenced him to pick his way. So he actually kind of followed you there. So, maybe that's
I am just
contact should go away, and maybe you should have a little more confidence in yourself. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're missing confidence in your picks. And
have you seen my picks? There's not a lot of.
Well, maybe that's influencing the team because they feel like you're not as confident in them.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Maybe the more confident you are in your picks, maybe the more confident your teams will play for you.
Wow.
I doubt that, but you never know. Moving on.
I feel like laying down on the couch. I gotta have to pay Mike money here in a minute for my therapy sessions.
I know.
The first one's free. Coming up next, you have Clemson traveling into New York, a place that they normally had problems playing, to play Syracuse. They are favored 7 points. Clemson is. Herb, you were first up, and who you got and why?
So a lot is going to be made of the struggles of Clemson lately, and Clubber Lang has not looked as good as what we thought coming into this year. But Syracuse always just plays Clemson tough and then loses. And I feel like that's the trend. Clemson realized they can't lose another conference game here. They like to beat up on the lesser, teams and thing. I think they bounce back. I think they beat Syracuse. Their demise is still going to happen this year, but it's not going to happen in this game. I think Clemson still wins this one.
I'm with Herb 100% on this one. I think Clemson wins this game. I understand Syracuse is undefeated at 4-0. Shout out to
They are like every year, it seems.
They are, and then they end up losing midway through the season. They end up losing a few games. So this is
the Ole Miss of the ACC.
Yeah, this is going to be one game that Syracuse does not win. So I'm going to go with Clemson in this one.
All right, both people picking Clemson there. We will move next to the Big Ten, which is normally a trap game here as well. You've got Kansas traveling to the state of Texas because I don't know that Texas leaves the state anymore.
Yeah.
The Alabama game this season, but they do travel into Texas to play. It is a fairly large line at Texas at 16.5 as of Monday, but usually Kansas plays them pretty well. I think Kansas beat them last year, if I'm not mistaken. So we will start out with Rodg. Who do you have and why?
All right. I'm going to go with Texas in this game. I will say this about I forget the young man's name, Kansas' quarterback. I want to say it's Jalen Daniels or something to that effect.
Jalen, yep.
Jalen
we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
He's and I spoke about him before, maybe even on last week's show. He's a really, really good quarterback, so keep an eye out on him. I think Texas wins, but I don't think Texas will cover in this game.
Right. And I agree with that. Interesting fact. So we're next up on the podcast, we're previewing. We're actually previewing the Red River rivalry.
Yeah.
And the Texas fan, or I'm sorry, the Texas fan said they'll get a tougher game from Kansas than they will from Oklahoma. Wow. So that's a little bit of trash talk already happening. All that to be said, I agree with Rodg. The Kansas keeps it closer than the number for sure. And they can score. They'll put up some points, but Texas does win this game. So I think Texas is also in a little bit of a look-ahead situation, so.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. Plus, Kansas playing them, which is why we really picked the game, even though there's such a large line. I try to stay away from a lot of those.
That's a weird large line because it feels like it's too easy to take Kansas, stay within it. So
yeah, it feels like Vegas is kind of baiting you a little bit to take there. But if you want to plug your podcast real quick, can you already name the guests who's going to be on so people can look forward to it?
Yeah, so we have Brian and Hannah. Brian is the newest member of the Shakeback Media Group. He is an Oklahoma fan, and then Hannah is, and I'll forget the name of her podcast. She's a 1/3 of, but she's also a huge Texas fan, and so both got recruited to come on and do it. And then apparently Hannah also wants to talk a little trash about Texas A&M before the Bama game too. So that'll be the subject of the next show. So.
Right, well, there you go. Make sure to tune into the Herb and Rodg podcast Tuesday at 7:00, where you get the Red River preview. That's easy for you to do. Good luck with that on Monday or Tuesday, Rodg. Trying to get that out a couple times.
I know.
But here at the Ragsdale Rumble, we will move on to the next game. Headed back to the SEC for a second, where old LSU travels into Ole Miss. Moves up a little bit in state. LSU is currently only favored by 2.5. I know they've struggled in a couple of games. It's kind of been up and down for them. They've either beat people really bad or struggled really bad, it seems like. And Herb, you were first. Who you have and why?
Oh, this is one of those, like, if you told me LSU was favored by 7, I would just pick LSU and walk away from it and go, okay. But it's like the Ole Miss that we saw last week, not good. Right. LSU gets into a sharp shootout with an Arkansas team you think they can handle. what is Lane doing with Ole Miss? Has he reached the end of his road? You know, it's just all these things going around. It just feels like I should pick LSU to win this game. But I will say, I haven't looked at what time it is. I will definitely be watching this game. I will not be upset to see an Ole Miss win.
It's a 5:00 game.
Okay.
Is it? Okay.
But I think I'm going to take LSU on the road. But if you ask me on Saturday, the pick could be different. So who knows?
I'm going to take LSU on the road as well. I think they got the better defense, and I think there's going to come a point in this game where Lane just keeps on taking risks and taking some chances. And LSU's offense and both defense kind of are a good recipient of both for Lane taking these chances, and they're going to take advantage of it. And Herb hinted on a point, something that I was just kind of thinking about, I never mentioned, but I don't know how much longer Lane Kiffin will be at Ole Miss. Have we kind of seen the best of what he can do there? I don't see him winning like the SEC anytime soon. Right. And what happens then? Where does Lane go afterwards? I mean, he's been, if you think about it, he's been like a million different places already.
Right. And to that point, Rodg, like he would want to move up, but who is willing to take a chance on him moving up?
When you look at his resume, you're kind of like, man, everywhere you go, it's like, I mean, with the exception of Alabama, everything else just didn't work out. And I even forgot he was at USC. He was with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Tennessee, everywhere.
Yeah. He's had some prime jobs. It's just
yeah.
I feel like he's taken Ole Miss to the peak, and that is like, let me beat up on all the teams we should beat. Yep. Let's lose to the good teams, and that's kind of the team we are. Go to a decent bowl every year.
I feel like there are some people who there are really, really good coordinators, and I understand a good coordinator. Once you get that offering, the opportunity to go somewhere and be a head coach, you want to take advantage of it. But it's just not. I just don't think that's who Lane Kiffin is. I think he's a heck of an offensive coordinator. I just don't think he's a good head coach.
Right, I would agree.
Yeah. I would agree. And it seems like I heard somebody made this point on another podcast that I listened to throughout the week. It seems like he puts every game on the Alabama game.
What?
You're only on like an hour, dude. There's a whole lot of other hours in every day. I've got to feel so I can't listen to your show over and over again.
Okay.
I mean,
what if we did a 24/7 podcast?
No.
Wow.
No.
I mean, you would need more than two people. So if you ever wanted to have somebody on the podcast, I'm not saying I would name any names, but I know guys that
we'll be calling you. We'll be calling you for the. We'll call you for the 2 a.m. hour.
Exactly.
Which, in defense, is probably the only hours I need to be on any kind of podcast or anything like that. Just because that's how bad I am a lot of times. But moving on, since I'm gonna insult myself a little more, both guys picked LSU. I mean, my point was that Lane tends to put everything on the Alabama game, just like kind of last year. They kind of fell apart after the Alabama game every season. Since they don't win that, they kind of struggle the rest of the season. So who knows? We'll have to see if that plays out again this year. Moving on, we're going to move out of the SEC for the rest of the picks, actually. That's the last SEC one we have. Moving on to a surprising game I didn't know I would pick at the beginning of the year, but you've got Notre Dame traveling into North Carolina to play.
I knew you were going to pick up this one. This is a weird one.
Notre Dame is only a 5.5-point favorite as of Monday. Rodg, I don't know if the number's moved at all. Is it still 5.5?
It's still 5.5, yeah.
Okay, so and you are here to go first. Who do you have and why?
I'm gonna pick Notre Dame. I know they're taking a road game. Herb mentioned they should have beat Ohio State last week. It was, why does Herb look so intimidating with his hands crossed and everything? It looks really creepy. I just had to throw that out there. I don't know. Notre Dame should be 5-0. I think they got the better team than Duke. Duke's just had a pretty good season. Obviously, that win against Clemson kind of really, really helped them out and put them on the map. But I don't think they handle business at home this week. I got Notre Dame covering.
Yeah.
All right, going with Notre Dame, and we'll travel on to Herb, who looks like he's at the World Series of Poker with his hoodie on and everything, where nobody can tell what he's going to pick. Who do you have and why, Herb?
Where's his chips at?
I'll also pick Notre Dame. I think they're the much better team. I think they win this one handily and cover.
This is the most dramatic thing I've ever seen.
All that build-up with the secrecy.
Yeah, what was all that about? Like,
in the deep voice to try to sound suspenseful, I guess. All leading to
Notre Dame.
I'm having a lot of fun tonight. That's why.
Oh my gosh, I got to get me a costume.
Yeah, I need something apparently. All right, so both of you guys going with Notre Dame. After those first couple games, it's been a lot of agreeing. So you guys kind of got everything out in the beginning, disagreements, and then you guys have really picked the same team.
That's usually how brothers do. You fight in the beginning when you're brothers, and then you make up, and everything's fine.
I don't know that I can disagree with that since I don't have a brother and I don't sound like James Earl Jones, who may be the wisest man on earth. But we'll move on to the next game.
I am your father.
Okay.
I'd take that. But again, before we get too emotional, we'll move on to the next game. Pittsburgh going into Virginia Tech. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5 here. Pretty close game. It is Herb's turn to go on. So, Dad, you're up first.
I mean, just I'm taking Pitt, just based on the fact that Virginia Tech feels like they've fallen like so far off. This is one of those games that I'll probably pick whoever was favored, and because it's Pitt. But it's also one of those, like, I haven't watched a single minute of either one of these teams, and I don't see that happening in the foreseeable future. So the only reason why I'll pay attention to this game is if Rodg picks Virginia Tech. If he picks Pitt, then I won't even know this.
I'm picking Pitt too.
Okay. So, like, I understand. And it just – we grew up with Virginia Tech being kind of like a mini little powerhouse and a great special team.
We remember the Vic phase, the Michael Vick, and then his brother Marcus was there.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just like, it's sad to see what they've become right now. So I'd love to see them bounce back, but this isn't the week. I'm going with Pitt.
Same here.
There we go. And with our last game, we're going to do much like Herb and be very anticlimactic at the end. You've got West Virginia traveling to TCU. TCU is favored by 12. Rodg, you are up first. Who do you have and why?
Again, I haven't paid too much attention to TCU ever since they played Colorado to start the year off and lost that game. I want to kind of pay attention to them just because I remember Trey Sanders is there, and I have no idea how good Trey Sanders has been doing this year. I got to look at the numbers. TCU, you said favored by 12.
Yes,
I'm gonna take TCU to cover in this game.
Yeah. I think so too. Haven't been impressed with just the scores I've seen from West Virginia, and it feels like TCU we just forgot about after the Colorado game, like that was their Super Bowl. But still, really good offense there, and I think they win this game and cover. Yep. West Virginia's look pitiful this year, based on scores alone, though, because that's another one of those teams I'm never going to watch for any reason.
Yeah, and looking back, the reason I picked the game, even though it's a 12-point line, both teams are 3-1, so they have got equal records. Their seasons so far have kind of been similar. They haven't really played anybody really big with the same record, so I figured it'd be a decent matchup. Despite the 12-point, I know I said it's kind of anticlimactic. There is a little method behind my madness trying to pick that just to see if we can get a good game. But there you have it, guys. That was week 5 in the books. We got a little bit of sage advice from Herb, who gained a game, as we said last week. Rod's trying to fight back and take that lead so we can try to invent a mercy rule if we need to, as we talked about last week. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But for Herb and Rodg, I am your host, Big Mike. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And as always, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Roll tide.